You're the last one left if you want to present a theory. Oh, and then me, I guess. But if you wish to present a theory,
100%. So this is like it's there's a little bit of evidence, but like it could definitely be easily disproven. But I'm just curious to think what a lot of you guys would have to say or feel about it if this is the way that the story went. But something that I thought has always been very interesting is
thank you for another $2.
That first encounter between Chihiro and Yura, right?
Yes,
all the way back in Rakuzachi arc. It seems to me almost that in that scene, not only was it like almost like a direct parallel to like if you've watched Naruto, not to spoil it because I know some people haven't, but almost gives me a direct parallel to like Sasuke and Itachi in part 1 when they met up, where it's almost as if like Yura was specifically kind of trying to like amp up his hatred, kind of just taunt him and test him, almost as if Yura has a plan for Chihiro in the end, like almost like Yura is aware of what the Enten is possible of, and Yura is seeking to just kind of string Chihiro along, because we know this man is a 4D chess player. He obviously has so many things far advanced in the future, that it would be interesting to me, especially with how he's got so many kids under his wing, if like he's almost like building like a team that will be able to stop the Shinichi or whatever Yura's thing is, whatever. It's not, even if it's not to stop the Shinichi, maybe it's to help the malediction, maybe it's to help his ultimate goal. But I feel like he's like trying to create like the Enchanted Blade Avengers with all of the children that he's been like kind of quote unquote raising over time, like some from afar, some directly. But I just think it's interesting.
Fury, basically.
Yeah, literally.
The Hishaku Nick Fury.
But I also think like it's interesting on top of this, just to finish off and then throw it up to the open floor. Like I think it's interesting that Yura talked to Samura so much before the actual massacre happened. I would very much be interested to see if like Yura almost had some kind of discussion and maybe even plan with Kunishige. Like maybe Kunishige dying, he knew he was going to die and he knew this was going to happen to set things in motion. That sounds crazy, but I just think like if he's constantly showing up and meeting with Samura, why wouldn't he also show up and say, hey, Kunishige, why don't we do this together or something like that? I'm just curious what you guys would think about, like, if not just Chihiro being like groomed specifically for like an end goal, but like if Yura has been also like, this is also part of what Kunishige always wanted, because Kunishige knew this would be the only way for the Shinichi to be destroyed and the only way that Chihiro could go down this path. I don't know, but I'm just curious what you guys might think about that.
You're definitely right, because what the thing he says, which gets on everyone's nerves, is he just goes, "Oh, Chihiro, you're too green," and then again Hirohiko says, "Too green," which means he's got plans for him. Like it's blatant. He wants something with Chihiro. It's definitely a very valid take.
I got a slight theory to piggyback off that what Noah was saying. So I do agree that he's definitely got some sort of end goal for Chihiro, but I actually talked about this in a video recently about how I think it's a misdirect. I think Yura's true end goal isn't for the Shinoichi, it's actually for the Enten. And the reason I think that is because the Enten has obviously been created now. It's not been outright confirmed, but it's pretty like obvious to everyone's face that the true realm of the Enten is to break the former Enchanted Blades, the main ones, right? And what would Yura's purpose, what would his goal gain by having a blade that could be broken by something else, right? Wouldn't it be more advantageous for him to get all the other blades under his control and then wield the Enten? Because as far as we're aware, you can use the Enten. Like, Chihiro seems to have been able to use the Enten and the Cloud Gouger. He was under contract to both of them at the same time. That could just be specific to Chihiro, but it could be that Yura's trying to push Chihiro to evolve the Enten further, see how far it can go, and see if it competes to the Shinoichi, and then take the Enten away from him. And that's what he meant by it's too far. You're too green to harvest. Because I've got a theory that this dude can see the fucking future, like literally see the future, like or like see possibilities of the future, because he seems to be just so far advanced in the plans, like Eisen level planning, that like nothing seems to surprise him. But also at the same time, there's a sort of gambling aspect here, because he keeps talking about how he's risking his life, but he's also confident about what he's doing, regardless of the risk anyway. You know what I mean? So that's like it's not like cemented in my head, but it's just something that come across my brain the other week while we were talking about the chapters, that what if he is sort of sending people to fight Chihiro to amp up the Enten, you know what I mean? That's why he's pitted Chihiro against Samura. That's why he pitted Hirohiku with the Kamiyori against him.
There's the Bleach inspiration again with Aizen.
Yeah, it literally is.
This dude to get him stronger again. So that's my theory on it.
That works if like his end goal is to like fight, if it's like a power thing. But if his goal is to maybe get the Magatsumi to maybe revert Shikoku back to its original state or something along those lines.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's a possibility of that. Oh no, you're good, bro. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I was just saying, like, I'm fully convinced that the Enten's true realm may potentially be like I am so honed in on the fact that Chihiro was able to just instantly, like, once he reached that like mental level, just start teleporting the same as Samura. I'm fully convinced that the Enten is like its true realm is meant to almost maybe embody almost every ability of the Enchanted Blades. That's why he was able to break Cloud Gouger. That's the point, is the Enten will be able to break the seal, break the swords, but also at the same time take in their power and absorb all of that burden, all of that guilt into itself. I think it's almost like guaranteed at this point that that's the main goal of the Enten. That's the main true realm. At the same time, it's going to absorb all of the Enchanted Blades, and it will finally be able to take on the Shinichi and hopefully take that in as well at the end.
I am 100% in agreement. I love that theory because, again, I think it's the ability which we've been using the most since the beginning of the story is Nishiki. Kuro gets used a fair bit, but for the longest time, like until his recent fight with Samura, Aka was like introduced so we knew what it did, and then erased from the story completely, pretty much, until this recent fight. It was gone for like 30 chapters, more than 30 chapters even. And we know that he can now, because he used Samura's Kuro ability and Suzaku ability, and then used Kuro after, which means the true realm of Aka could be exactly that. And like you have Kuro, which breaks things, Nishiki to buff his strength, which is the part of the true realm that will break the blades, but I do think he is taking in these abilities, these 5 abilities, which the Magatsumi also has 5 abilities, because I think we are creating the enchanted blade that can combat the Shinichi, and that is the only way that it's going to be able to break it is with the powers of... That's why I think he will probably use a Cloud Gouger ability soon, because it could be stored in Aka still.
I think Yura noticing that black lightning that Chihiro did was like a big implication of that as well. Because even Yura was like, that was like one of the only things that he found interesting. He was like, oh, black lightning. Like you merge those 2 swords abilities together. Like that was like definitely a big moment.
It's also possible that he's already got an ability of the Shinoichis. Because when he started entering the True Realm against Samura and he's using Aka to copy stuff, he wasn't verbally like commanding Enten to do that like he has done in the past. He was doing that almost subconsciously. Like he sliced through one of Crow's feathers and then copied it there. And then obviously in the clash with Suzaku, he caught it there, but he didn't actually verbally say Aka. So it's potential that he's doing it subconsciously. Like when he fought with the Shinoichi, he could potentially have taken one of the abilities and he just hasn't realized it yet. He just hasn't noticed it that there is there. It could have even just been something as simple as that centipede that we've seen on the train when Hirohiku came to fight him the first time. Like, it could be something like that. Just, he hasn't realized that was actually... It wasn't like him slashing, it was actually the ability.
It plays into his Rokuhiro Eyes thing as well, where it's like okay, right. Chat, forgive me, I'm going back to my old ways, but it's kind of that Yuta Okotsu copy thing where it's like, you observe and replicate like almost flawlessly, like almost subconsciously. It's just an innate talent that kind of Chihiro has because of, like, it's the same when he was doing EI White Purity. He's observing and then he's like, I can't do it 1 minute. And Kuguri's like, you're fucking useless. and then but the next second Kuguri's like, is freaking out because Chihiro's turned into EI White Purity God, and it's, that kind of idea of him being able to almost subconsciously master these things.
What is it about power stealers in these series is doing fucking numbers, man? Holy.
The no-ops like theory, it's like Kunishige basically gave Chihiro the tools and everything he needed in the time allotted that he might have had to deal with Yura. He might have gave himself up, but the allotted time to give Chihiro, you know, time to grow and teach him like these values of you know, crafting the sword and wielding a sword, which, you know, basically is the basis of Chihiro's like foundation as a person, which we see him like acknowledge everyone's you know, ideals like head on. Like if it's a challenge and they're standing on 10 toes, he's gonna give it his full attention. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I love that. That's such a good point. That you're like, that is a good point where he's constantly fighting ideals with these people. Like even like with that fight with Sojo, when he does, you know, get Cloud Gouger and break Cloud Gouger, it's because he accepted Sojo's philosophy and beat him at his own game, right?
Yeah.
He's growing as a person through each interaction, like a true
Yeah.
shonen battle, like developing through battle. You know, like but in a
And not
very
to-
nuanced way.
Not to bring it back to the Bleach thing too, but like it's also like it goes into like what you were saying, where it's like he was able to command those abilities without even saying it out loud. Like again, like that's kind of like what ends up being the ultimate form of Zanpakuto's in the end of Bleach, where like the user basically merges with their sword entirely, and they're just in a permanent state of being able to use the ability without even saying its name, or like they become genuinely one and the same. Which is like it. That's again like I love how like that's also what Weeb said. Like it's like the sword aspect is 110%. You can see so many of the Bleach aspects, but like also on all the other things, you can see so many of the Naruto aspects. It's like you can see directly like what flows into what.
Yeah,
I really like Samura being, if I only had Tobi Mune, you know, at the end of the Rakuzaichi. I mean, at the end of the sword bear at the temple. He's like, if only I had Tobi Mune in his hand. Like it's just that's his instinct, you know, like like he could rely on that and turn everything upside down.
I don't know if anyone's a Kingdom Hearts fan, but that's a big Zigbar thing.
Yeah.
If only I had a Keyblade, things would be different.
Fucking grew up on that shit, man. Holy. Someone in my chats just said Enten is the real Shinoichi, considering Shinoichi is a title after all. Enten is Kunishige's masterpiece, not the Magatsumi. I actually really fuck with that.
Chihiro is Kunishige's masterpiece.
Yeah, I could see it.
That's
I mean, if you were to ask like Kunishige that question, what's your masterpiece? There's no way he says anything other than Chihiro. That's like
I said,
surely.
and Azami's Enchanted Drums, my best.
Oh yeah, for sure.